Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the I'll Try That podcast. We have a really special episode for you boys and girls today. We are talking with Harvey and Sam at Primetime Brewing. Guys, welcome to the podcast. So pleased to have you on.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us on. Excited to be here.
And I appreciate you indulging us getting through the tech pit at the start. You know, we're here, we're on prime time. I love the name, by the way. I know we'll get all into it, but, you know, indulge me with where did Primetime come from? It's absolutely epic.
I'm going to just crack one open. Seems appropriate.
Excellent.
Prime time, yes. So I guess the thought behind the name was really what we're trying to sort of promote and build with the brand, is that it's a feel good, do better brand. And we wanted a name that kind of emulated that, and one which, I guess encompassed this lifestyle that we're trying to live through the medium of prime time. And it's, being able to go out, socialise, like with your mates, but still find that balance and do it in a more sustainable way. So it was, Sam and I had a long list of names, which we were all trying to, say that, encompass that kind of way of being. And then I think Sam was driving past Prime Real Estate Agent, was it?
Steakhouse.
And then we're like, Steakhouse, yeah. And they were like, Prime's a good name, Prime Time, yeah, Prime Time, like good bar call, like feel good, like it just kind of stuck, and that was that. But yeah, a lot of back and forth.
Well, I love it. I mean, I'm love also as well how bold you've been with the naming of this. It's Primetime Lager, but better. And it I think speaks back to what I think you alluded to there, Harvey, about the, the kind of the being better for you kind of base of the product as well. Sam, maybe you could, help us understand, or our listeners understand a bit more about why better.
Beer but better is very much our sort of our slogan, and that comes from, I guess when the brand sort of started and it came about, we were, was pre-COVID, but then COVID obviously happened and everyone got locked away for 2 years, and the world was never more sort of health conscious and aware of what they were putting in their bodies. So me and Harvey sort of looked at each other, and I did a big body transformation in lockdown. Harvey's played rugby for his country. He's always been super health conscious. And, I said to him, we need to make our beer like all encompassing and something that, we're not going to feel guilty about when we go back to the pubs after being locked away for 2 years and doing 10 pints on a Friday, Saturday night with your friends. There's always that, in every like group of friends, you always sit around a table and you drink a load of beers, and then you all go, just drunk like so many calories. And then you probably go and have a kebab at the end of the night. So it all adds up. But, the point was that we wanted to be all encompassing and just better. Like it's non-compromising. It's award-winning on taste, but it's 60% fewer carbs, 30% fewer calories, gluten-free, vegan. So it's an all-encompassing beer, which is just better than your standard beer. So that was kind of where it came from.
I was going to say, this is the first time I've tried Prime beer, which is what you guys sent us very, very nicely, sent us over some cans to try. And so I recently had, not recently, but 4 or 5 years ago, I had a health scare myself. I was diagnosed as being diabetic and everything like that. And it took a whole big thing for me was I had to change the way I looked at my life and what I was putting into my body and everything like that. So, I love beer, sort of thing, so it is really nice to see that you guys are you're honing down this line that you want it to be better going into your body, but you still want to be able to enjoy it and go out and have a good time and everything like that. And I've just, as I said, I've come back of just a long old day of work, and I've just tried the caffeine lager for the first time, which was, well, I've never heard of a caffeinated lager myself personally, sort of thing. And I've got to say it went. Well, I finished it, which is the thing. Far too. It went down.
I was going to say, you've been at home like 15 minutes, so that's gone down very quickly.
It's a testament to actually how tasty it was. So I'm just intrigued. Why a caffeine-based beverage? I suppose. Why a caffeine lager?
Yeah, the caffeine lager was kind of the starting point for us with Prime Time, and it was because Sam and I, again, going back to our kind of lifestyles, we live very active, very sort of social lifestyles. Both, in sport and then, in the pub with our mates, and, through uni, through our young professional careers in London. We just, we were drinking coffees and then beer to kind of get ourselves up for an evening or post work, and then going for a beer. And, we saw also the clear popularity of kind of like espresso martinis, vodka Red Bulls, Jaeger bombs. We saw there was a consumer demand here for caffeine and alcohol during a drinking occasion, but it hadn't been done in the most consumed form of alcohol being lager. So, it was kind of a functional solution beer for us. It was, we were out, it's the third night on the trot at university. Like, I need a beer that's going to get me going a bit. Like, I'm tired, or a long week at work and it's Friday and you got beers, and then, I don't know, dinner with your girlfriend. It's like, you want to have a few that get you up. So it was kind of that. It was like, there's definitely a consumer demand here for it, because you see it through other mediums. And it's a beer that we were trying to like make ourselves by drinking coffee and then having a beer, which just didn't work on the palate, didn't work on your stomach. So that was kind of it. We went away and started working on it.
Just a bit intrigued because I've had Red Bull before and it tastes awful. I'm not gonna lie, it tastes like a medicine to me, sort of thing. And like anything highly, I'm not a strong caffeine coffee drinker or anything like that. But this tastes quite nice. How long did it take you to kind of perfect the balance between maybe too much caffeine taste, too much intense flavour?
It took about two and a bit years of development. And it was more about sort of trying to get the caffeine to settle in the beer, to not sort of detract from the taste, the sort of stability, the carbonation, and ensure that, it was a great tasting beer, first and foremost. And it's a natural added caffeine powder, so it has a slight bitterness to it. So it actually subjectively adds quite a nice flavour kind of, level to the beer. So it was, the taste profile is great. It's just, the actual, sort of science of getting it in without kind of detracting from, shelf life, taste and sort of stability of the beer was the harder part. Yeah.
I'm just intrigued. At one point, was there maybe too much caffeine in it, and you were kind of like, well, we've definitely overcooked it here, sort of thing, or you were just sitting there vibrating, sort of thing. So there's too much caffeine coursing through.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, you can measure it quite sort of closely, and I think it was more deciding how much do we want to put in per batch to make sure there's enough caffeine in there to actually be functional and give you that little pick me up you're looking for, but not so much that you can't have 3 or 4. Or, you can't just, I guess, scale up dependent on your level of caffeine tolerance. So we've gone for 50 milligrams, which is, equivalent of about half a espresso shot. So, I'm very caffeine tolerant. I could easily have 4 or 5 beers, prime time caffeine and feel like, yep, let's go. Whereas others might want 1 or 2. So it's kind of a lightly caffeine infused.
I think it's like that as well, because then you're allowing people to, as you said, kind of have the versions of however many of those caffeine infused beers as they want, kind of take it steady, or then switch onto your other lager or IPA, for example, that doesn't have the caffeine in it as well. And I love, going back to a couple of points you've made, guys, but like the first point of like, you're trying to marry up, that need state of people wanting to be out, they want to go drinking, they want to have beer, but they also don't want to feel heavy and like over, kind of like weighed down by the calories, as Sam was talking about as well. But then that pick me up of that wanting to have a good time as well. So it feels like, as you said, the best of both worlds, if you could almost try and combine that into a beer. And the fact that Rich is endorsing it as well, as from a taste palette perspective, is a good one. He likes his craft beers, so that's always a good sign on that side. But I'm intrigued, because this has got to be, and from having spoke now with quite a few brewers and people who work in the industry, just how technical it is to actually run like a modern day brewery. How did you guys even begin to fathom getting into it? Were you kind of doing little your own kind of versions in a kitchen in a university, like a lot of us have tried? Where did you make that leap and kind of that kind of move into kind of actually good tasting beer, I guess?
We were beer lovers from the start, and drunk beer from our first drink to our last drink. So it was, that's kind of what spurred on going down the beer route. It was something we loved so much, and found this big kind of, I guess, hindrance with it. It's high calorie, high carb. We got so bloated after 3-4 beers, but we're there powering through because it's all we wanted. And then we just started working with sort of brewing experts who had, all the experience. They had low calorie brewing experience. They were we, I guess, lent on, the industry experts. And we're the brand builders. We had a vision. We wanted it to be, certain taste profile, certain ABV. We wanted it to be above 4%. So, it's full strength. We want it to be under 100 calories. So it's, lower calorie, under a certain amount of carbs, etc. So we kind of went, and worked hand in hand with brewing sort of experts to develop the recipes. And then that was a kind of two and a bit year process, just finding the right breweries, nailing the caffeine infusion, nailing the kind of base lager recipe so it tasted great, first and foremost, ticking that box. And then kind of trying to take as much out of it, the unnecessary, as we call it, as we could, and just strip down the calories, the carbs, the gluten without detracting from the flavour. So that was kind of it, yeah.
No easy task by the sound of things. It
no,
didn't happen overnight.
Definitely not.
Things as well.
Yeah, patience is key. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of trial and error. A lot of things going wrong along the way. But yeah, all hopefully paying off now. So.
Has it been good for having both of you kind of having this shared vision to kind of like pull the brand forward, but pull the beers forward? Obviously having to work with so many different partners along the way as well. But has that strengthened you guys as friends? How's that dynamic work?
I think it's a nice dynamic. Me and Harvey get asked that question all the time. Going into you hear the horror stories of best mates going to business together. But we're so different that it works so well. Harvey's strengths are my weaknesses and sort of vice versa. So we really add a lot of value to different areas of the business and don't really tread on each other's toes. So so far so good. And we've got a great team around us now as well. So we've got some incredible sort of infrastructure to push the business forward. But yeah, we're still very much at the head of it and pioneering the vision. And I think we're very much aligned on what we want Primetime to be and our vision for it and why we started it. And I think we never really step away from why we did it. And it was a passion project for us that we were solving a solution for ourselves and our group of friends around us, and then it just so happened that a lot of other people was feeling the same. And if you see the market in Australia, you can't walk into a pub or a bar or a restaurant and not find a low calorie, low carb option. And obviously in America it's starting to pick up now as well. So we wanted to bring it to the UK and be the kind of pioneers behind that. So yeah, it's definitely good working with your friend. It's like you can tell them straight how it is. You can have the honest conversations when they need to be had, and you're not treading on eggshells. And we weren't forced together. We decided to do it together. So that makes a big difference.
It's really, really nice to hear that like you guys get on, and it has come from a place of friendship, and that you kind of collab, and that you are at this point where you have designed and created a really nice product. I'm not gonna lie, I've just cracked open the lager but better. And I kind of sipped it, and then whenever I really appreciate something, I just do like a nod to myself. I was like, yeah, I like that one.
I did see that nod.
Yeah. So I'm just intrigued. So what's your current setup right now? What do you have? What spaces are you operating out of and everything like that? And just what's going on, kind of like day to day.
Your image right now is frozen. So all I can see is you actually just downing a pint. That's your frozen.
There we go. Yeah.
I think that will be his headstone as well when he passes away. Yeah. That's his the final image.
So it's nice to see.
Yeah, so Richard was asking, I guess, how the size of the company and things. So I just noticing that you guys are obviously growing, right? You're doing really well. I think I saw recently that you just got stocked in Waitrose nationally,
yeah,
which is epic. So that's just happened, right? Are we in December? That must have happened really recently.
Yeah. Yeah, just in October we listed with them, so we're kind of just going into our first sort of full month, really, like implemented across the whole portfolio. But that's a huge milestone for us. Waitrose was a target of ours, which we wanted to land this year. In our second year of trading, and we did, and it's great. It's a great partner, and things are looking really positive. So really happy about that. And then, Rich, to your question, yeah, we're a London-based brand, so we've got an office in Fulham. There's 13 of us now there. We brew in all of our production is in the UK. Try supporting the domestic market. It's always been a big thing for us, and also sustainability and sort of decreasing our beer mile, carbon footprint, emissions, etc. So we've sort of made sure that we produce everything in the UK and I guess support the domestic economy. And we sort of now distribute, nationwide with Waitrose, London mainly on the on-trade, and some spots around Suffolk, Norfolk, Newcastle now, down into sort of some parts of Surrey and, southwest London, of the UK. We're now starting to kind of transition outside of London and grow bigger than, you know, where we're from, which is great.
And and, you know, one of those kind of key areas that you want to tap into. So your university, am I right in saying, was Newcastle?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that?
Good
Okay,
few years
so
there.
you've already tapped up the old alumni, and you've been like, right, we know this place, we know where to go hit it into which bars to kind of get it, you know, seen and in the right hands. Yeah, it's because there's a lot of that. It's like, you know, just you on the ground, right, pushing stuff forward. Or have you got people helping to do that as well? Because it's, speaking candidly, it's a minefield. You know, for me, like the idea of what you guys end up having to do to try and get beers all around the country is, you know, just mind blowing.
Yeah, it's definitely, again, patient game. And it's all about just knocking doors down, and being quite persistent with it. But yeah, you know, Sam and I still do a lot of that. We've now got salespeople that, you know, do that, you know, specifically. But, yeah, so it'll be a combination of us kind of working on the bigger partnerships and, you know, and targeting Waitrose while we've got kind of our sales guys more sort of on trade, you know, knocking down individual pubs and trying to kind of build our footprint that way. So yeah. But yeah, it was, and it's such a competitive, industry, and that's really why it becomes so hard. It's like, you've got so many big brands with huge budgets who all have exclusive tie-ups, and then you have all, you know, little brands like us who are hungry and want to get in there, and, you know, then you're competing with them as well. So it's tough.
And it's interesting you kind of brought that up about the competitiveness at the moment, because I think what we've kind of leaned into, I think, and the conversation we've been having over the last year is just how much more competitive it feels like it's becoming. Not, you know, breweries themselves are just feeling the pinch with a lot of, you know, kind of external factors that are happening as well. And we've seen, I think, as a consumer base of like the less collaborations between brewers as well, like because they're having to like draw the drawbridge up a little bit and kind of look at their own home, you know, their own spaces, their own things as well. But, you know, you guys are obviously doing the opposite. You are expanding, you're kind of growing, you're reaching out, and you're, you know, pushing that. But are you feeling like you're kind of just weathering the storm in a different direction? You know, where other people are maybe kind of batten down the hatches, you are full sailing at the moment.
I think with what we're doing is we're trying to pioneer a new category. So, and we're adding a lot of value to the consumers. And, you know, in an ever changing, you know, UK at the moment, where, like I said, people are becoming more health conscious and they're looking at the calories on the menus. They're starting to see on the especially in the fonts, when you walk into a pub, it's the same old lager lineup everywhere you go, and it's boring and it's not really adding anyone any value. So, you know, we're really trying to pioneer that category, and we fully believe that, you know, every pub, bar, restaurant should have a low calorie, low carb option on there, and a good gluten free beer, and we really lean into our, you know, being gluten free, and a great tasting gluten free beer, because that's huge for us as well. So I think, yeah, while your mainstream beers and other sort of standard lagers and IPAs that don't really differ much apart from a bit of a different flavour profile or a sort of wacky can might be sort of battening down the hatches, where I think we're trying to, you know, get something new out there and something exciting. And I think, you know, the likes of Jubel, who have really pioneered their own category, are great examples of, you know, what could be done. So, you know, they're everywhere now. So, and no one's really competing with them. They're in most lines and they sit in their own, sort of lane, which is what we're doing as well. So, yeah, I think, you know, we're in a hyper growth stage at the moment, like Harv said, and picking up some amazing listings. We just listed with Young's pub group as well, so starting to sort of grow with those guys.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And yeah, having big conversations with the likes of Mitchell and Butlers and the other big guys. So yeah, they're seeing it. There's demand, and they're seeing what we're doing as well. This weekend's a good example. Friday night we had a live music event at a pub in Fulham, and then yesterday we had another live music event in London, where, you know, we're really activating hard, and we're there, and, you know, we're showing up, and I don't think many other, you know, of these mainstream boys are doing that. So we lean in from that perspective. So that's why the pubs and bars are sort of, I think, like having us around.
I think so. I think you're a breath of fresh air at the moment. That's, I guess, what kind of, you're a palate cleanser into where people maybe are expecting breweries to be activating and doing, and they're not. You know, you guys, as you said, pioneering a new category. You've got some clear space ahead of you, but you're actually being there and you're active and you're, you know, in these spaces and stuff. So yeah, sorry, Rich, I cut you off there.
Oh no, I was just intrigued. You said you've just literally done a couple of music events and stuff like that. And have you guys leaned into the festival scene yet and everything like that? Because like a caffeinated lager, would be something I would 100. I'm quite big into going to festivals. Like I'm going to 3 next year, sort of thing. I went to 4 this year alone, sort of thing. And I'm trying to steer clear of drinking beer the whole time I'm there, because it's just, well, as you guys said at the start of the podcast, makes you feel full, bloated, everything. So I'm very much on the hard seltzers, the gin and tonics and everything like that, just to kind of keep myself going and everything a bit on those lines. But I feel a caffeinated lager would be something I would be well into, just to kind of keep me going, keep me going at a festival and dancing.
We do a lot of festivals, yeah. We've done 25 this summer.
Oh wow!
Hoping to do a lot more next summer. And yeah, again, it's really the most amazing place to get the liquid on lips and get people to try it for the first time. When you're at a festival, you're in a good mood and you're probably open minded to try something new. And yeah, like you said, we recorded record numbers of sales at we did Polo in the Park, which is at Hurlingham in Fulham, and we delivered record sales.
Nice.
I think they did like 40% more beer sales with our brand than last year, because it's so easy to drink and it's so light, and you can keep going on it. And yeah, that the caffeine infused lager definitely sits well in festivals. We did Lakefest up in the Cotswolds way, and they had a full sort of big top tent, and they only served the caffeine in there, so that was a good time in there.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, festivals and music are big.
Now you mentioned Jubel being like how well they've done with their activations, and when I think Jubel, I think of the Jeep that drives around, the bar Jeep that kind of activates things. What's going to be the prime time activation? What are you guys thinking of doing? Is there anything in the pipeline? Is there anything already at the moment that goes to these festivals that you're like, that's our signature kind of move on these spaces?
Yeah, well we've got 2 London taxis which we use, so we've converted our London taxis, and the roof lifts up, and then we've got 2 like draft taps in there.
Epic.
So again, we're trying to, and again we've got a double-decker bus also converted into a bar.
Oh,
so and a phone booth as well, a pour your own pint station where you can go and all like London centric assets, I guess, that we've kind of innovated and modernized, a bit like what the beer is. It's like a British quintessential beer, but aligned to more modern trends. So we've kind of gone down that route. So yeah, they go to most of our events.
Just curious of the double decker bus. Is it 2 levels of a bar, or is it just the bottom and the kegs are up top? Or
there's a bar at the bottom, and then there's kind of a lounge at the top, so like sort of seating, and you can sit up there and drink. That sort of vibe.
Excellent.
So good.
Yeah. That's how I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Don't know if you know, Rich designs buses in his spare time. But that's epic. Okay, so you've totally driven over the Jubel Jeep by the sound of things. You guys have got your own activation. This is brilliant.
Exactly.
And so, we've talked about, kind of where you are with kind of growing and kind of the activations where you're targeting as well, and kind of the types of beer as well. What's coming down the pipeline with your beers? Because obviously you've got the beer lager but better. You've got the caffeinated lager. You've got this IPA as well. Is like, you're going to keep stuck around the core, like enjoy the core where it is, kind of grow that? What are the plans for kind of new beers as well? Is that kind of being discussed at the moment?
Yeah. MPD is obviously a big thing for us. I think, the overall goal is to go across the sort of beer category, and just do each kind of, option, but better, and offering a more functional, better for you option. So we've definitely, we're working on 0.0 at the moment, which will have functional kind of infusion, vitamins, etc. So working on that.
Love that idea.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and then I think sort of stout will be the next on the hit list. Sort of a better for you, lower calorie stout to rival the big boy Guinness, which is the title.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. I love this infusion of better for you, like different things as well. That's going to help kind of round off, like what these other beers probably lacking, especially in the 0.0 category. Which, let's face it, those companies that have gone hard into it and done really well, like Big Drop, fantastic, and it's just they're trying to be better than what's already out there, whereas what you guys are doing is adding that extra value onto it rather than just taking away. So already just my ears are ringing from hearing that, and want want to get to see. We'll be waiting with bated breath when that starts hitting the pumps later down the line. Because I love the move into a 0-0 and then why a lot of the stigma against low alcohol and no alcohol beers has kind of gone away now. Because everyone's kind of moved in. I think it was the worst that we were lumbered for so long with just, Beck's Blue as our only option for a non-alcoholic beer, which was terrible. Whereas now everyone's kind of moving into the space in a good way. And some people aren't doing it right, but I'm really, you've got to have some people that don't do it right, and you've got to, for the rest of us to kind of move into it and, kind of do well. So yeah, I'm really excited by that. And the fact that you're already starting off from a position of being known for low calorie, better for you based products anyway is a recipe for success in my mind in that category.
Yeah, no, exactly that. No, I think, we just want to be known as kind of the go-to better for you beer brand, basically. So yeah, definitely keep your eyes peeled. Definitely some more exciting beers on the way.
So I suppose a question we always ask when we're chatting to brewers and stuff is, I suppose you guys have got you're streaming down the healthier option for beer and everything like that. But if you weren't worrying about the health benefits or anything like that, what beer was your go-to? What were you really enjoying that maybe inspired these, but along the way?
That's a good question. What was yours, Sam?
I think my go-to beer was Camden Ales. I thought they're a great brand. You saw what they did. They kind of, that craft beer wave. They were the guys that were in similar to us, in pubs, standing on the bars, ringing bells, giving out free pints, and in everyone's faces, and really activating well. And it's a cool brand. They've done a great job with it. Until Budweiser bought them. They're cool. I like Camden. I think, what Jasper did was phenomenal. I've spoken to him now, a few times, and just a great guy. I think his vision was to really shake up a kind of boring and stagnant market at the time and, create a cool young brand that people can sort of relate to. And he definitely did that. And, I was a customer of his before Primetime came around. That would be mine.
I also was a Camden Hells drinker. I actually remember having my first pint at Coat and Badge, which we're now listed in, which is a pub down in Putney, and actually being like, whoa.
It was my local for a long time for Coat and Badge, just to jump on the Coat and Badge.
So I had my first can with that. I remember it vividly because I was like, this is a good beer. And I actually, to the point where I was like, to my mates, like left and right, I was like, guys, you got to try this. And then, I was hooked on it after that. I do think it's lost its touch since it's been acquired, and the taste profile is definitely not what it used to be. But and I'll have an Estrella. I do like it. I'm partial to an Estrella.
Love an Estrella.
Yeah.
Big fan of Australia. Me and Joe used to both work in Spain together on the Costa Brava, which was, we used to, I think we lived about an hour and a half from the Estrella factory, which was absolutely fantastic.
It's pretty much as much to the source as you could get, I suppose, at that point, without knocking the doors down and then just telling you to go away.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever tried a damn lemon from Australia?
I've not, no. So look at their shandy.
If you were looking... so
it's like a Clara, it's kind of where Jubel's going, if I'm honest. So I don't know if you guys are going to jump into that, but it's like the fruity beer kind of like vibe. And it's delicious.
Okay. Absolutely fantastic on a hot summer's day. Yeah, definitely. If you're that way.
Yeah, we'll do.
And it's interesting you mentioned about it because actually Estrella's one of the only kind of mainstream beer breweries that are offering kind of a gluten-free option at the moment, I think. I think everyone kind of, it's being that kind of gluten-free, vegan kind of, area is kind of just being serviced by the kind of the craftier, like the more nimble people who have set it up, and kind of the more medium-sized breweries that have been able to do that. But yeah, I think Estrella's the only gluten-free that I can find in most places, actually, for a friend of mine who's very gluten intolerant.
Yeah, they've got, you see the Peroni one knocking around as well, but again, the flavour is just not there. So for people that are gluten intolerant and celiac, it's hard to find a really delicious beer. So
and zero from the UK as well, right? I think that's another double down on when you're servicing this market. People are looking out for that as well, buying a bit more British where possible. But then thinking of that, is there plans and hopes, I guess, for export and kind of growing into a global market? given how big what you're doing with, gluten-free, better for you products is just globally, as you've tapped on with, your inspiration to bring it to the UK market in the first place.
Export is 100%, in the pipeline. Our focus is definitely UK and to pioneer this market and really capitalize, on the UK space, and sort of be synonymous with the Better For You beer brand, and then, look to go international as and when, resource dependent. We don't want to kind of spread too thin, and, so we are sort of focusing all inroads on the UK for now, but, if the right opportunity comes up abroad, with the right distribution partner, in the right way, then 100% we're open to it. But yeah, it's just a lot to get done in the UK to start.
Yeah. I can imagine there's a fair bit to do running a brewery. It's the
and a brand around that as well. It's the, getting out there and being the face of it is, I think Sam mentioned it. It's like having to be so up there and doing the hard yards, moving into a new place doesn't just happen because you say, make a phone call. There's probably a lot more steps that happen to it. So appreciate there's a lot of graft in that, in these early stages of it all. But I think from the proposition that you're coming from, how you're approaching the brewing world, I think you're ticking all the right boxes that consumers are looking for modern brewers. And probably as you get bigger and bigger, start showing up some of those more established players that have kind of just not felt that that's even worth their while to think about sustainability in the way that you probably are, to think about where you're getting your sourcing your ingredients from. I think there's just, I'm just kind of reading your kind of a couple of things in the background, and I was just really impressed by how you've approached the kind of the foundational stuff. Cause I think I could understand or empathize, I think, with a new brewery starting out to maybe cut corners. And it doesn't seem like you guys are doing that at all. It sounds like you're doing it properly, which is, maybe means that you don't grow as rapidly as maybe you could do if you were to cut some corners. But in the long run, you'll be better for it, better products, better for, stand up as a brand.
100%. Yeah. I think where we've gone is, we've gone heavy in the detail of everything. And, we don't want to be a flash in the pan. We want to be a long-standing business that, our kids friends will be drinking, so it's, when they're 18, of course. But yeah, it's all about setting those foundations right. And, we put a lot of time and effort into it, and, hopefully, and it's showing, but a big sort of movement for us is our sustainability. And, that's, so we've got a listing at Chelsea Football Club, and they're on a massive mission to become, net zero. And, the reason that we're, although it's an amazing tasting beer, and, we are competing with the global boys, and, they're interested in having partners on board that have got that sort of sustainability charter, which helps, them as well. So, it's those sort of key pillars of our business that, are really helping at the moment. So yeah, our partnership with 7 Clean Seas, that, every can that we sell, we remove 4.2 grams of plastic from the ocean. So that's really tangible. And people can really see that. We've actually got an amazing portal being built at the moment where, which will go live on our new website, which is being built at the moment, but really shows, the amount of plastic that we've removed. So yeah, it's great for customers to see that, and know that when they're buying a pint, they're helping the
you guys. You've just named some absolutely kind of like fantastic accolades of where your beer is going and what it's done and everything like that. Was there a point? It might have been a point that you both realised, or maybe individually at different points, that you kind of went, "We've got something here. This could actually work," sort of thing. Like we've got a product and it's going well. I'm just intrigued. Was there like a eureka moment, or was it just been a gradual build from there?
I think when we signed off the last beer and tried it, and it's the one that went to market, I think the first consumers that did have it, which were our friends and close, people around us, were like, "Shit, this is a good beer. Like, this tastes good." And it was like, I can't believe it's low calorie, low carbon. So it was like that first moment was probably like, okay, maybe then, it's exceeded, the taste profile we wanted to achieve. So that was definitely a moment. But then it was like, then all the hard yards came after that, and so many things that still could have, been the end of us. So, that wasn't, I guess, the moment. I think, Waitrose is a big thing, big milestone. I think, you know, when we find out we're selling better than like a lot of the big beers in the pubs that we're in, again, that's like, you know, you get those little moments where you're like, okay, like, you know, these are globally recognized multi-million-pound corporations, and we're selling better than them. So yeah, I think there's a few from me.
I don't think it ever gets boring. I mean, when you go and sit in a pub that, you know, your beer sold at and people are going and buying it on their own accord, and you're seeing your pint glass walk across the the pub is sick. That never gets old. It's seeing people at festivals, you know, go for it and go back and again. And I'm a big Chelsea fan, so when it went into Stamford Bridge, that was a bit of a mad moment.
You just need to, Sam, because I'm assuming similar generation, you're going to need to get that one moment of like Didier Drogba holding or drinking your beer, and then that's like made, you know? A Chelsea legend with your beer, you know? That's the next level.
I mean, we got quite close with Frank Lampard, but
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I've got a Frank Lampard story. When I used to live in Battersea, like I had to stop myself from chasing him around Battersea Park when he was out running one time. So I was like, "Oh, it's Frank." Just, you know, like, no, stop, Joe. Just calm down. Don't be that person.
Hold it in.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate we've been talking your ear off about and probing you on questions, but thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with us. And as Rich said, thank you for sending the beers over. It's been eye opening to kind of get to try and speak with you about prime time. I'm going to definitely be keeping my eyes like peeled for any time I see a prime on tap, and make sure I give people give the nudge about the especially this lager but better has been one of my favorites that I've had. Out of the three that we've got, I think the IPA was really nice, and as well, I think there's just a lot of emphasis in that category of like, you know, if you like IPAs, there's a lot of people that are doing IPAs as well. And that lager, with caffeine in was exceptional in the sense that I've never had anything like that before, you know, and so it's rare with the amount of beer that we go through that you get to a beer where you've never had one like this before. So that was pretty epic to have that. So thank you for bringing that to us. So yeah, just thank you very much for coming on the pod and chatting with us.
Well, thank you guys. It was lovely to chat to you both. And if you're ever in London, let's definitely grab a beer.
No, definitely. We will definitely come down. Especially because I've still got one more can of this caffeine stuff. I think I'm going to go and have it after this. Great.
Stay up all night. Yeah. Thanks guys. Absolute pleasure chatting to you. Sam and I never get bored about chatting about beer and prime time. So, very much enjoyed. And it'd be great to grab a beer, maybe the Coat and Badge, old time's sake.
Yes. I do need to go back.
Yeah.
This would be the best excuse.
Nice.
Cheers, guys.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe,
Rich, Barber,
and Simo,
goodbye. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter, I'll try that podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.